All right, so we do have a brand new update, and that is Ripple just made it to national news, or well, TV itself, which the CEO and CTO made some pretty big comments I wanted to share with you guys.
I got some new clips with Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz. We're also going to take a look at some new information with Ripple and XRP. We got the news that Swift is going to do live tests with XRP and HBAR. We're going to cover a little bit of that too in this video.
So I thought they were competitors, but what are they like? Seems like they are working together, which is probably better for XRP's economy than ever before. Again, when a competitor wants to work with you, that's usually a very good sign.
Some new information for CME about XRP and a ton of other XRP content. Let's go ahead and start with this first clip here. CEO Brad Garlinghouse and CTO David Schwartz discuss XRP's future goals.
I was listening to your talk this morning, obviously, as we all were, and I'm curious to get both of your take on how mass adoption occurs. Obviously, I think one component is going to be making this stuff easier to use. I think the fact that Iggy Azalea followed me on Twitter this morning is a good sign for mass adoption. But what else is it going to take?
Well, user experience is super, super critical. You can't, if you have to understand the technology in order to get it to work, there was a time when you had to understand cars to drive a car. You had to understand copying machines to have a copying machine. We have to turn that corner. But I think the other thing is that we need products that meet needs that real people actually have. One of the things that I mentioned in my talk is, like, for most of us, we're very well connected to the financial system, and getting money into and out of a blockchain is not difficult for us. But if you're someone who, doesn't have a whole bunch of money that you can just, send off and not be able to get to for a while, on-ramps and off-ramps are critical, interoperability, like all of those things. But really what it comes down to is just the user experience has to be great, and it has to solve a problem people actually have. It can't just be interesting. It's like, oh, it's really cool that it can do this thing, right? It has to solve a problem people actually have.
Google and Apple.
So I think it's very important that people will start using it also when it gets easier to use. I feel like most people don't understand how to use Ripple right now. But with mainstream adoption coming, there could be a major influx of holders coming in.
Are actively working to upgrade their infrastructure to support stablecoins and cryptocurrencies. We're going to wake up one day, you're going to get an update on your phone, and you're automatically going to have a crypto wallet on your phone. It'll be associated probably either with your email or your phone number, which means if somebody like your friend or family wants...
If they're working with Swift, that's a pretty big key reason that we're seeing right now for Ripple. It's probably because they want to make the interference much, much easier, probably 10 times easier, and getting that initial user base where you can finally push XRP coin to the mainstream adoption. Right now, if you're holding XRP, you're probably top 1% overall, because nobody understands what XRP is yet.
To send you money anywhere in the world, they can do that with your phone number or your email associated with your phone number. I think that's going to be a very big turning point.
That's something Ripple can do.
People into the crypto space. Remember, you beat the institutions here. You beat the rest of the world here. You will reap the benefits of all of this. Right?
One of the things David also talked about on stage earlier today is he had been around in the earliest days of the internet, kind of the internet 1.0. I'm a lot younger than him, but I also was around. Why is that funny?
I don't know. I don't know.
Frank, that's fine. Like, I was around those days as well. And I think one of the things that really catalyzed the growth of kind of the internet 1.0 was usability.
Yeah.
You know, Mosaic came out as a first browser that evolved into Netscape, that, trying to use some of these technologies that predated the browser as we know it. I mean, people can't even think about the internet before a browser, but those things didn't exist until I think 92, 93. That was the explosive growth. And so I think, again, when I think about the big picture, where we're going over the next 5 years, 10 years, I think we are now focused on abstraction layers that can actually, we don't need to know how the technology works. We don't need to know how SMTP works to send an email. Why do we need to know how to do things with core layer 1 technologies in order?
Ripple will be probably used just like you use your phone every single day to send these payment transfers. What they are trying to do now is make payment transfers much easier than actually having to go into a blockchain, make these transactions when you could lose a ton of money. They're trying to make everything 10 times easier, and that's what their main goal is right now. Once they get everything easy and simple, the mainstream adoption can come in and start using it.
To take advantage of them.
Or bridge.
All right, got to make it easier, right? And here's another clip of David Schwartz talking about protection against cybercrime. This is a big deal. Ripple's starting to be more active in trying to prevent criminals from scamming people's crypto. Remember, whether you're on YouTube, on Discord, on X, on Telegram, if anybody is DMing you, it's probably some type of scammer. Assume everybody that is trying to reach out to you is trying to scam you, right? Until you can prove that this person is not hostile or this person is not pretending to be me or another influencer or somebody else that you might trust, just assume everybody is out to get you, right?
That's literally why the government is regulating more crypto, to prevent the stuff like this from happening.
Never answer emails, never give your seed phrase. These are all things to keep your crypto protected and safe. I care deeply about that.
And I know some people lost like 5 digits, 6 digits because of this. Crypto can't go mainstream yet, but Ripple is trying to bypass this and having like your phone number connected to your account. From what I heard, the rumors, that would be very huge for mainstream adoption to come in.
Let's always be cautious about what's going on around us, okay?
You know, I went through the sort of internet revolution, and that was very influential on me. And a lot of people may not know, particularly if they're younger, that there was a huge battle over the technology behind the internet around encryption. And, you know, criminals will use it to hide information so that, you know, law enforcement can't subpoena information to stop terrorist financing and spread of child pornography and radicalization of terrorists. And there was a big battle. I actually have an export license from the days when cryptography was considered munitions, and I had to get a license to export encryption software from the United States, from the Bureau of Export Administration, like they were, you know, rocket launched, you know, RPGs or something, or missiles. I mean, we won that battle. You know, we won that battle, and the internet has democratized the flow of information in ways, you know, it used to be if you wanted to say something, you had to get a newspaper or a book publishing company or broadcast television station to let you do it, because there was no way to reach the world otherwise. And we won that battle. And so it's just sad to me that the United States has not taken them.
So yeah, that's why the governments and corporation could use Ripple, because XRP is actually working on protecting their servers from attacks and everything like that, which just makes it much easier, which is a big problem in crypto right now. And that's what, you know, he's literally wearing XRP Ledger on the live TV.
More active role.
All right. And then remember, Brad Garlinghouse has been seen. He is okay. We don't have to call in any more groups to go find him. He is alive and well. He's probably just taking a break here after.
For anyone new and anyone who didn't understand, Swift is partnering with XRP, which is another big announcement. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love you all.
I mean, if you went through a 4.5 year legal battle with the most powerful United States government, I think you would want to take a little bit of time and just, you know, reflect and process all of that. This video I made today will come out on Thursday. If you're interested in getting more information about what is going on here, this is actually legitimate, real news. Swift is going to test XRP and HBAR in November, and this could play a vital role in what.
So again, this confirms my further thesis that October and November will be basically Uptober, and it follows the plan of where we could be getting that final push. And I feel like there's no coincidence why this released in November, is for the simple reason that that is when the markets pump as well. So this news will be pushing the XRP $4, $5 narrative, in my opinion. This is the big news that we have to watch out, except ETFs and everything else that we have on plan, like rate cuts.
Swift's going to do in the future. Remember, Chainlink is also working with Swift to connect those legacy systems to the new blockchain rails, but you're going to need some type of settlement token. Just hopefully Swift. Is there a chance Swift chooses HBAR over anything? Absolutely. There's that chance, but I think Swift won't want to pin themselves down on one technology. Remember, if you're going to be getting into the blockchain space, you never want to rely on just one technology. For settlement, you probably want several, right? Because if something happens to that one technology, your whole system is freaking gone, right? It's your whole system will not work. And so I don't see them backing themselves into a corner on just one technology, but that's my personal opinion. You can let me know what you think down below. Is XRP even going to be really considered here? I mean, they're going to do some testing, obviously, but is it really going to be considered? I'd love to better understand what you.
I wonder if Swift, which has a global dominance, is going to try to enter into crypto. Right now, we have, you know, XRP dominating the crypto space, but could Swift enter the crypto space, or is XRP entering the mainstream space? Because I feel like it's the other way around, right? That's why they want to partner up with them. XRP is now becoming known worldwide. And he made a joke, by a famous influencer following him. This is the first sign, guys, of retail investors coming back.
You guys think? High Vibe Assets posted this. Of course, it's documented. Utility is the ultimate end game for digital assets. Who will use them? The damn crypto. Not quite making sense on that one, but all good. Cross-border domestic corridors have been set up for a decade. Flip the damn switch. Institutional moon soon incoming. Moonshot incoming? I don't know. All good, all good. And then you have some of the XRP.
So a lot of people will want to buy the US dollar or hold it. If you don't guys believe me, from other countries where the currency can fall 400%, they made a pretty clear reason in RWA that people will want to hold the US dollar on the blockchain itself. So there's another reason why more people will flock into Ripple Layer USD or RLUSD stablecoin. That's the thing. They will be buying dollars and making these conversions and keeping it on the chain itself.
Liquidity corridors here. You have the US and Mexico corridor with Bitso. This is a very popular to get money in and out of Mexico into Mexico from the United States. You have coins US dollar to Philippine. Is it a Philippine dollar? Excuse me, I don't know that one. I do apologize. Let me know down in the comments. AU, US dollar, and AUD, Australian dollar. Of course,
so if you guys don't know, a lot of these are actually very known brands that are partnering up with XRP, which is a clear win. These are going to bring in millions of exchange volume every single month.
You have the Japanese yen here, and then you have AED, which I think is the dinar, India rupees, and then, of course, down here, JPP, PHP. You need to start learning all of these different cryptos, but the future of digital assets like XRP is determined not just by speculation, but real proven utility in financial markets. Ripple has spent years establishing and documenting working payment corridors for cross-border transactions, each supported by actual financial institutions and exchanges. Ripple's on-demand liquidity uses XRP and increasingly US dollar stablecoins like RLUSD to bridge assets. This provides instant.
That's why they're pushing their own XRP dollar, because it is going to be used by corporations for payments, salaries, whatever, you name it. That's the real deal of why XRP Ripple is out there on the chain. It's going to be used on the chain. I don't think it will, take over Tether or anything like that, but it's going to have its own use for the corporations that are going to be partnering with XRP.
Low-cost international payments, solving real problems and banks at scale and paper providers issues. Who will use crypto? Financial institutions, remittance providers, even central banks and potential early adopters will use.
So why will they use it? And also, we don't have to talk about small businesses will also use it for a very simple reason. It is to pay contracts. It is to pay things on the chain fast and efficient without taking like 5 days. It's going to take like 1 second, which is a huge win. And Ripple knows that. Ripple is going to make a ton of money from the fees, or possibly a ton of XRP is going to be burned from the transaction fees. Every time a transaction happens, some XRP is burned, which means the XRP is going to be deflationary and is going to potentially lower in supply.
We talked a little bit about the corridors already. It says cross-border corridors and infrastructure are needed for mass adoption. Ripple does cover 90% of the FX market. That is a $7.5 trillion a day market. It says the big picture here is decentralized payment rails with proven utility attract institutions because of their lower costs, increased speed, and provide transparency. Ripple's documented operational corridors demonstrates that crypto, XRP, and stablecoins are ready for enterprise-grade usage. If you look here at CME, remember CME is the biggest derivatives platform here in America. They hit an all-time high in open interest with 6,000 contracts in August 18th, right after the anniversary approaches. It's a clear sign of the growing conviction in the XRP market. If you're interested in learning all about,
this is just the start potentially, because this is before even the banks launched on their own chains or launched on their own banking systems. And each bank ordered something else from Ripple. Ripple is like a tool. They all sell something to the banks for a fee. And the banks can like decide 1 out of 10 things.
18th, right after the anniversary approaches. It's a clear sign of the growing conviction in the XRP market. If you're interested in learning all about, all the things that are being said about XRP and XRP's growth inside CME, it has been truly incredible. Just think now that the lawsuit is over with Ripple and people that are not actively engaged like you, maybe they own XRP, but they're not following the Ripple case and every bit of news. they will look at the case being settled and they might jump in harder here. We want institutions, we want big money. And
I feel like the biggest push is not the case being settled because that's already priced in. The biggest push is the ETFs. Again, what do the ETFs do? They make purchasing XRP easier. And that's what a lot of people want to do for XRP. They want to purchase it, but they don't know how. Think about 2020, how hard it was to purchase XRP when it was not available on any exchanges. Now, with the XRP ETF, it's going to be possible with a single click of the button. Again, how many retail investors don't know how to use crypto or exchanges? I would say like 99% don't even know how to open an exchange account. This is what XRP is going to fix. Also with the banks, potentially the banks might enable you to buy XRP with a click of a button and, transferring the balances. This is why XRP will win. XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of these three are going to be super simple to buy. You can buy them on the go. You don't have to open an exchange, and that's going to be really, really easy for them to be the winners before any of these altcoins.
here's just some additional context here. When this debuted, CME XRP futures, it debuted in May 2025. And it had the third best day on record. So you have CME futures saw more than $19 million in notional volume, outperforming other launches like Solana only at 12.3 million. The highest one was Bitcoin at 102 million and Ethereum at 31 million. So Ripple taking the third place as they are the third largest cryptocurrency. This would concern me if Solana was a higher growth than XRP. Obviously, that means there would be more demand for Solana, but we are seeing it play out well, like we thought we would. It talks about rapid growth and high engagement. Within 2 months, combined XRP and micro XRP futures in CME have surpassed 1.6 billion in trading volume within a single day of 235 million traded on July 11th with more than...
Again, another win for XRP. XRP has a massive trading volume in Upbit Korea. This is the first thing. The second thing we have for XRP, it did outperform both combined Bitcoin and Ethereum this year. Just let it make sense. XRP is the clear winner once again in trading volume, which is a clear indicator of the price going up.
63,000 contracts were traded. Talks about robust global interest. Notably, 45% of trading volume has come from outside North America. So these are people that are actively looking to get XRP exposure from all around the world. That's pretty incredible. It does talk about during this time when I pulled up this information specifically, XRP open interest in CME reached about 766 contracts. I pulled this information at the beginning of August. So you can just see now we're at 6,000 contracts in just a few weeks. This went up 1,300 contracts. That's why I'm showing you this specific piece of information. Kind of crazy.
So again, it's not just the contracts that are blowing XRP up. It is also the partnerships we are seeing with the banks. CME Bitcoin futures debuted with 102 million trading on day one. That is in 2017. Ethereum saw 31 million and Solana saw 12.3 million. But XRP having 19 million, even more than Solana, just makes it insane. Of course, it's not going to be more than Bitcoin, but it is getting there. It does have other opportunity as the ETFs. Again, these contracts are just the start and they're very low in trading volume. 19 million in crypto. Well, XRP ETF is going to be like 1 to 2 billion. That's what my eyes are set upon.
1,300 contracts. That's why I'm showing you this specific piece of information. Kind of crazy to see all of this growth. And then Cassie Trades posted this. XRP golden retracement is holding. Target is $3.41 resisting. She's saying, I'm leaning bullish here. The structure is starting to look really interesting. XRP reaching its 618 retracement, $2.88, which lines up with the textbook subwave 2 target Elliott wave theory. This is a make or break retracement level that defines whether a new bullish trend is valid or just a fake out. Seeing XRP holding here is encouraging, especially with Bitcoin reaching its RSI support at the same time. With a retrace completes.
Honestly, with these price predictions, don't take them too serious, guys, because a lot of the stuff can change. So if the news goes good, the Clarity Act bill passes, that is all you need to know. October and November are the key dates for crypto. I don't predict September is going to be good. I personally think September, compared to other post-halving years, actually went down. So consider that XRP might go down. I'm hoping not, but be prepared for October and November. Tons of massive news, guys, that I will keep you updated on this channel.
Here, the 618, it sets the stage for a subwave 3, which is usually the strongest wave of this cycle. That's why this level
That's
is so
what's
important.
coming.
It holds the market.
This subwave 3, this is the phase 3, is where retail investors usually come back and buy supply of XRP. And again, if XRP did 600%, what does it make it go another 100%, right? So 100% XRP, which is at $7, isn't super unrealistic. $6. Again, there is an issue with $4. There's some support levels there, but I'm not too worried about that.
It remains bullish, and it opens the door for momentum to kick back in. Future mapping points towards the resistance at 341. The move should unfold in 5 subwaves through there, a couple of different scenarios. Those waves could develop along the way. Both end up landing at about $3.41. The critical marker for me remains at the 236 level at $3.21. Once it breaks, I'd expect it to backtest the support and conviction. After a backtest, a path forward to $3.41 starts to become more clear. And where could we go from there? Man, it's going to be really exciting to see. Ripple also has a bunch of trademarks. Chad Steingraber and Bank XRP did want to point this out. I did want to show you this. All of the different trademarks that Ripple has, different companies. And I was thinking, like, you know, I don't have a ton of trademarks on different things. So like I get that you want to make sure that your brand is protected in the future, but they own a lot, right? They own a lot of these.
The reason why they own these trademarks is to not have like a copy trying to take your market share.
And so
later on. But look, Payid, Ripple X.
I wanted to just better understand
what's going to be Ripple Impact, Ripple X. These are some that we haven't talked about on this channel.
Dan, what, you know, why
I think we can definitely see $6 by October.
There's a huge list here. So here's some of this information. I just want.
That would be awesome. $6 would be definitely the moves we need to see for XRP. But again, we got to breach $4 and $5 first.
I'm going to go through. This is the reason you'd have so many different trademarks is, of course, brand protection. Trademarks are legal tools that protect a company's brand names, logos, and product names, and sometimes slogans. For Ripple, trademarks terms like XRP and software related to crypto custody ensure exclusive rights, preventing others from misusing, copying, or diluting the brand assets in commerce. Market positioning. Having numerous trademarks helps Ripple control its branding and market identity as it expands into the new market products and services such as custody solutions and payments.
So yeah, I feel like XRP is going worldwide. It's not just one thing that they're going to do. They're not just going to work with banks. They're not going to give up there. They are trying to work worldwide. This is why the sky is the limit with this one. This is why I'm so bullish on XRP right now.
Infrastructure.
Because these trademarks that they're doing right now, they're protecting for their future ideas. Because I feel like after this partnership that they've been doing for the last 2 years, which is the banks working with the banks, we could be seeing, you know, more and more development from XRP, more announcements, even during the bad time of the markets. It's not just the good times that XRP will be working, it's also going to be the bad ones. When nothing is happening, Ripple and XRP will keep building.
Each trademark may target different aspects of the business like software, payments, and asset custody. It also talks about legal clarity and security. The filings create a documented claim to these names and concepts, which is useful in legal disputes, regulatory discussions, and the company grows internationally. Trademarks clarify Ripple's exclusivity over particular terminology and branding elements. Talks about product differentiation, excuse me, that's a strange word, and expansion. Multiple trademarks allow Ripple in the brand to distinguish a variety of products and service offerings. So interesting to see all of this news unfold, guys. What do you think about all of this? Love to hear from you.
Just being on the news, like Brad Garlinghouse and the chief technical officer of XRP being on there, it makes me think that this is one step closer for XRP to go mainstream.